Welcome, gods and goddesses, creators, to All Things Spirituality with yours truly, Maria Palomino, a sacred sanctuary that speaks the unspeakable and lets you in on the secrets of spiritual awakening. Introducing self-discovery, soul awakening tools that helps you remember your soul's true purpose to start manifesting a conscious reality. Every soul is unique, meaning no spiritual path is the same. Feel every conversation and let your mind, body, and soul guide you to what is unique to only you. It is the soul's resonance of remembrance. Now, take a deep breath, drop into your heart, and let us begin, beautiful souls creators. Hello, beautiful souls. In this episode, I sat down with Ayurveda Panchakarma specialist, Dr. Ninu from One World Ayurveda in Bali, a boutique Panchakarma detox center where he has seen thousands of patients from all over the world that come in with various conditions. Sit on tight to learn about one of the oldest natural systems of medicine, originating in India more than 4,000 years ago, and its famous detox, Panchakarma, that is dedicated based on the natural elements of your body. It is fascinating. It's a detox based on your natural rhythm and elemental composition known as Doshas. To discover your personal elemental composition and recommendations, go on the description to take your dosha free quiz and find out if you're more air, fire, or earth, known as Vata, Pitta, or Kapha dosha. It's fascinating how it will bring light to why certain foods or diets didn't go with your body before and what direction to take from now on. Check it out. Now, let's begin, beautiful souls. And don't forget to follow us to receive your latest dose of heart-opening medicine. Hello, it's Maria Palomino with All Things Spirituality podcast. I have a fabulous guest today, Dr. Nuni, who I've been working with. I actually had the privilege to go to One World Ayurveda and spend 3 weeks on this wonderful natural oasis in the middle of the rice fields. So I have Dr. Nuni here. Let me just read you a little bit of his background, which is pretty amazing. Dr. Nuni has received his degrees in Ayurveda from the renowned, can't pronounce it, Panchakarma Ayurveda Medical College in Kerala, India, which is the cradle of Ayurveda. He's had the opportunity to interact with many eminent physicians practicing authentic Ayurveda during his studies. Dr. Nino is also an Ayurvedic consultant in the Kotakal Ayurveda Clinic in Kolaman, and after that, he worked in the Arya Vaidya Pharmacy in Coimbatore, which is a real melting pot of mentors of Ayurveda. And he's also perfected his Ayurvedic diagnosis methods, such as pulse diagnosis, and he's built his own Panchakarma Center in Kolaman, producing his own genuine pharmacy in Ayurvedic medicines as well, and worked at various hospitals. And he's been working with One World Ayurveda since they opened up for 5 years now, seeing over 1,000 patients that come in and out, and they see the doctor every single day. So welcome, Dr. Ninu. Thank you for coming in. Yes. So I would like to start off, because I know you have so much wealth of information on, give us a history or some little bit of a background of Ayurveda. What's the history? Where did it come from? How long it's been around? And what is the connection with yoga? Because people understand yoga, and I feel like that's usually when people have a better broad understanding of what Ayurveda is.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for inviting me for this talk. And Ayurveda is a holistic Indian system of medicine, which in our books, they say it's 3,000 to 5,000 years back existed. And the whole aspect about this science is explaining or letting us know how to lead a long, vital, and a creative life. And what are the basic things explained in it for us to achieve that. And if we look into the history, like in Hindu mythology or so, we say like Brahma is the creator of the world. So from Brahma, it has transferred the knowledge into Lord Dhanvantari, who is known as the god of Ayurveda. And then he has given the knowledge into his disciples. And then these are like spiritual aspects. And when we come into the different aspect that is explained in our book, when the diseases started spreading in and around in the areas, so a group of sages like who had like knowledge about medicinal plants uses and all, so they have gathered in the hilltop region of Himalaya, and from there like they shared their knowledge in between others, and then it's mentioned as it evolved as a science called Ayurveda. And from that basic time period itself, it has been known for or divided like 8 branches, so which we call as Ashta Angas, which is 8 branches. So similar like in Western science also, we have like Ayurveda according to different branches or sectors that has been mentioned. And Ayurveda is like WHO recognized also.
With the World Health Organization. So that's why we're seeing it more coming up in different hospitals, clinics, and very well accepted within the holistic community, and something that it's proven and it's scientific.
Yeah.
And which is why there's universities on Ayurveda.
Ayurveda across the globe, it's coming, and like more people started accepting and trying to do detoxes or like Ayurvedic way of lifestyle, implementing onto it. And also like one thing that you asked was like about yoga.
Correct. What's the relationship with yoga
and Ayurveda? So if we look into, both are mentioning or explaining like health in a perspective of mind and body. So in yoga, it's more like practices where we do exercises mindfully and physically. Where when it comes to Ayurveda, it's not just about exercises, it's about lifestyle, about our eating habits, about taking medicinal herbs or supplements when needed, and detoxes that could be helpful.
Correct.
And it's like a sister science that we say, it's interconnected in between both, which helps in both aspects to lead a better life mentally and physically.
Now, they both come from the same branch of...
Yeah, so
it's from the Vedas, right? So
yeah.
it comes from the Vedas. With
So
Lord
Ayurveda
Brahma
is like, all connected with the other Veda, Rig Veda, connected with that. So where it all explains about living a healthier life rather than just going only in one form. It's a holistic approach.
Okay. So Ayurveda would be more of your daily life, of how to live more of a healthy lifestyle. And then yoga, would you call it, it's more of a physical aspect? Because yoga means the union, right? It's the union of coming together, the yin and yang, for example.
So in Ayurveda, like when we talk about the aims of Ayurveda, where we talk about like preventive measures, preventive care, and there we explain about like daily regimens or dinacharya, certain things that you have to follow or do on a regular basis. And in that, we talk about yoga as a main part. So when we are trying to implement yoga, which is like physical stretching exercises like asanas, pranayama, meditation, that helps to lead that healthier lifestyle. Because yoga is the basic part that talks about mental exercises also that we need to keep us in a healthier stage.
So they both have the same goal, and bringing together, just like this podcast, your mind, body, and spirit, bringing everything in alignment. And Ayurveda is more of the broad spectrum that includes not only physical aspect, but also the mental aspect, and especially exactly what you eat. It's so important. So it's all of your lifestyle, and it feels like yoga is like a small portion of Ayurveda, which is, I feel like it's so important for people to understand, because people, when they start learning more about mind, body, and spirit, and how to align that and how to associate it, and then they start asking the questions, okay, well, they start usually with the physical aspect, and then more emotional, they have experiences, and then they're asking, so how do I implement this in my life? So Ayurveda, learning about Ayurveda, it's going to give you the whole lifestyle.
Aspect. Yeah. So basically, when you started itself, like you said, like you have done Panchakarma in our setup. So if you look into that Panchakarma that we design, it's a combination of everything. Like you have consultations, you have treatments, you have detoxes, yoga is there every single day. Your diet is specifically tailored according to your condition. So all of that, it brings the effect or like a healthier living.
Yeah, we're going to go a little bit more into what is Panchakarma. But before we go there, let's, so we got the history. We know what Ayurveda is, where yoga fits in with Ayurveda. Let's go into the Ayurveda types. So understanding Ayurveda, because Ayurveda is, when you take the test, you find out what elements you are, because we are part of the elements. So Dr. Nunu wanted to explain and they call them different doshas, the different types. So I'll let you explain that part.
So when we think about or explain about this whole science, it's been developed or built on like fundamentals, which are the 5 basic elements and the 3 bioenergy. And the 5 basic elements or the Pancha Mahabhutas is what the whole science is built on, like air, space, fire, water, and earth. And this 5 basic elements combines to form the 3 bioenergy, which is like Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So it's like our blueprint, like we say body type and imbalances. Each one of us has a unique physical, structural features, mind related, which we could connect with our body type. All of us has all the 3 bioenergies like Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, but there is something predominant in each one of us, which is our unique nature. And imbalances are like when any of this 3 goes out of balance or not in equilibrium. That condition we say or mention as a disease state, or like we are having certain health related conditions.
Increasing. Are there some dosha types that are more common? Are people mostly more Vata, more Pitta, or more Kapha? Or can you explain each one of them and what they are?
So I can't just say like it's like I have seen, but during some time period of having few patients, we might see, okay, Pitta predominant people coming, but uniquely, like all the 3 are equally predominant, or we meet people or
Makes
we
sense,
see.
because everything has to be balanced in the world.
Yeah,
there's an divine order.
Yeah.
However, the people that come into the center, I felt like, at least when I was there for 3 weeks, a lot of Pitta imbalanced people.
Yeah.
And why is that?
One basic part, if we connect the environment or the world that we live into, where like we have a kind of stress related, or like if we connect with the COVID current situation going on, like many people going through a lot of stressful situation that can be, and then the food that we connect with or eat, that has a different story. So everything act as to our system, like the environment, everything plays an important role in deciding the imbalance stage. So that's why I was telling, like maybe during a time period, we'll meet some people like it's all Pitta predominant or Pitta imbalances. But
Can
at some point,
tell us a little bit of what's a Pitta predominant person, a Vata predominant person, and a Kapha? And just like little things that people can pick up and see, oh, you're more Vata, you're more air, or you're more fire, you're more Pitta, and so on.
So Vata is more like air and space, like element more. So that's basically, we say it's more like kinetic energy. So any kind of movement that is involved in our system, mind and body wise, we can connect that with Vata. So when we are sitting, like breathing, respiration, like movements with the hands, blinking of our eyes, like passing, like urine, all the movements in our system can be correlated with Vata. And a Vata typical person will be like more onto the skinnier side, more creative, imaginative, quick in action, like the movements will be more faster.
Are they more spiritual? They tend to be more spiritual, or not necessarily?
Not completely, but there will be some.
But they're balanced?
If they're balanced, definitely. And they tend to be more like ongoing, like not completely stabilized. Like Vata is more like floating, moving kind of part.
Got it.
And Pitta is like fire and water. Physical wise, if we look into, they're like well built. More we can say like athletes or like sports stars.
A lot of fire in there, so they need like to burn off that energy.
Yeah. So that's basically. And physically, like they'll be well built, like digestive system wise, like good appetite, where for vata it can be sometimes on and off. And then creative wise, like they'll be able to take up challenges and do it in a very peculiar way, in a structured way. Like sometimes we connect that, like pitta is more like a perfectionist. They like things to be done in an organized better way. And when like pitta is out of balance, it can create some changes in our system, like skin related conditions, all inflammatory conditions, any kind of like skin digestive related issues we can correlate with inflammatory condition. Whereas for vata, we say it's more like joint related, arthritic or degenerative changes are more in vata predominant. And then kapha is more like water and earth, which is like structure, stability. So physical wise, if we look into, they are tending to be more onto a heavier or bulkier side, tends to be like more heavier among the other two, considering the other two, like more like calm, relaxed, easygoing, forgiving nature.
And very loving, aren't they? My
so,
niece is a kapha, and she's so much love, and she can connect with spirit right away.
So
just
kapha more like easy, like earthy, grounded. So
but
that's
yet I think that's the beauty of it. This is a channel, podcast spirituality. It's so important to be grounded and connected to earth in order to connect with spirit.
Yeah.
The more you build roots, the higher you're going to be able to go up. So it's important to go ahead.
Yeah. So those are the basic examples or things that we could explain about vata, pitta, kapha, how we can connect. And each one of us has all the three qualities, but some will be up and down depending on the body type.
Yeah. So my percentage was particularly predominant pitta, and then I was vata, and the last was kapha. And everyone has there's no same percentage, right? Every single human being, their percentage of, each elemental of each dosha vary. Is unique.
Yeah, can vary.
There's no two combinations that are the same in the world, right? Because every single person is different.
Everybody is unique, different, but sometimes the percentages can come closer to people. But like in Ayurveda, the basic thing that we say, it's a completely individualized or personalized science. So the treatments, diet, everything is like personalized in a way because each person is different. And then according to that, we have to treat or help them to heal.
Correct. Yeah. And One World Ayurveda, when you're staying there, everyone has different concoctions that they give you, different types of herbs, and we're all comparing. We're like, well, how come we don't have this pill? How come your drink looks different? Well, this one smells different. It's not the same thing, the same color. Because Dr. Nuni gives everyone very specific combinations of herbs depending on your dosha type. And like you said, no one's the same. What are some tricky doshas to identify? So Millie, I think that was her name, that came in. She was kapha. But when I looked at her, I thought she was a vata because she's thin, right? She didn't seem like she had like that bone structure that was more bulkier because she's really thin. But I know you also look at the mental aspects, not just the physical and so forth.
Those are aspects like when we say like if a person is not like completely heavier or like bulkier, so those are like some points to tick only. But the other aspects are like mental related. So when you go to a proper like Ayurveda doctor, recognized Ayurveda doctor, qualified Ayurveda doctor, so we say it's a one-on-one consultation. So by the time that you walk into itself, like we'll be looking into your physical characteristic feature, or even in the consultation, we'll look more details into your hairs, like teeth, eyes, eyelashes, nails, bone structure, skin. Then comes the mental related, like how do you respond to certain things, like how are you when you're under emotions, like how do you respond when you're in a trouble condition. So there's a lot of questions that we have to consider, and understanding all of this only we can mention a person's body type. So sometimes when we see a person, we'll say, okay, exactly this is a pitta. But then when we start talking, they will show some other changes with their mental related condition. So that also comes into play or role when we try to understand the body type.
And not only that, and then you have we go through seasons where children, teenagers, energy starts peaking, and then, we become more mature, and then elders. So your dosha type never changes. It's always the same, no matter your age. So you respond to things different. So how does that play into just the natural evolvement of our physicality and even, our
body type
behavior?
won't change for any reason, because if we are trying to find out or finding out in the right way, it will not be changing. But like you mentioned, like sometimes, like, okay, 5 years I used to be like this, but now I have changed. That is due to your experience from what you learn, from a healthy eating habit that you learn, or your mindfulness to adopt to new things, or learning experience. That makes changes. But that person who you are still will be there. But you have evolved as a different one with your experience and all of that. And with the age also, like we say, in our childhood, it's more like kapha. During the adult time period, it's more like pitta. And in the later phase, it's more like vata. So it all varies. Like there's a lot of depth knowledge given into each aspects when we start learning about. So that's why like this whole course is like 5.5 years course, like similar like the Western course. Like we have also have to.
I mean, you're a doctor, because there's a lot of study to go on, and I love it because you really are studying the circadian rhythm, just the natural seasons and natural cycles of life.
Yeah.
Right? Through food, through medicine, through our climate, through the spiritual aspect. And I think that's beautiful, because we're always evolving, and the world is changing, the energy is changing too. And without your adapting, making it even more fascinating. So let's go a little bit more into food with Ayurveda. So for someone that's Pitta, what should they eat or not eat? And Vata, and is there a staple food that's good for everyone? Like no matter what?
It completely depends. Even if we say like a body predominant, according to the seasonal or the climatic changes, we need to make adaptations. So first, like you were asking about Pitta. So Pitta is more like fire, nature in the system. So in that conditions, we say like citric, acidic things can be less, or like too much of spicy food should be reduced into a condition. Or when we talk about vata, it's more like air and space, where irregular digestion or metabolism can be there. So for vata type, we don't recommend much of like raw salad or like cold food, or like too much of dried cookies, crackers. So dryness can be one of the basic imbalance stage that vata could connect with easily. So those are like some condition. Or for kapha, if we say, they tend to be more onto the heavier side, like easy to gain weight, slow metabolism. So fats should be less, dairy products should be less, carbohydrates can be less given. So these are like general condition. Then with health related connection in there, we make changes overall.
Changes as well. It's pretty fascinating. So one thing that I learned about kapha, which I wish I had, was they can eat more, they should be eating less sweets, but they can eat more spicy food.
Yeah.
Where me, I'm a Pitta dosha, and I grew up eating a lot of spicy food. And because of that, I had a lot of problems, because we're Peruvian, my family, and we don't understand about the different dosha types. So everything's spicy. They put chili on everything. But now I know that if all the people that do have like that kapha dosha, they can consume spicy food, and it's okay. But with everything, is you keep everything in balance, not too much of anything, correct?
Yeah, so that's also very important, which we say in Ayurveda, nothing is good, nothing is bad. It all depends, and everything in a moderate is good. Like if we start consuming anything in abundance than needed, that will be the root cause for some health issues in our system.
Yeah. So talk to us about the different trends that are going on, and what's your perspective from an Ayurvedic point of view. So right now, what's really popular is intermittent fasting, or any trendy like vegan restaurant you go to, they have like the turmeric shots, drink a lot of coconut water, or people are doing diets when they wake up in the morning and they're having vinegar and honey. I know I throw a lot to you, but does that go with every body type? And I mean,
that's what we were talking, like these like healthy things can be adopted and can be done, but we can't say like it can be maintained or it will be helpful for all people. Like if we just talk about intermittent fasting, and I'm not against anything, but in a very basic part, like we don't mention like for a vata predominant person who's like more onto the skinnier side, having like digestive related issues, having anxiety conditions and all. If they fast for a longer time, that can create changes. Or for a pitta who has like really good appetite or having some digestive related issues like acid reflux or condition, when they fast for longer time, it can create gastric upsets or like gastritis condition. It can completely vary, like we have to say. But for a kapha predominant person, definitely we say intermittent fasting is much recommended, because that will help, because they have a slow metabolism and they tend to be like on to having a bit more heavier side, and they can prolong and go or withhold the acne or the digestive fire or the appetite and go through that phase. It can be done, and it's not like the other body types can't do also, but it completely depends when it comes into the condition. So we have to understand. So first basic thing, like if we are able to listen to our system more effectively, then it will be more easier to implement certain things. Because now we may talk about like 14 hours, then somebody else will say like, oh, I was doing 18 hours. Then even this pitta person will say, okay, I want to do 18 hours. But that can have an impact. Maybe
Correct.
10, 12 hours. It will also be helping in resetting the digestive system.
Yeah, I can talk about personal experience. I became a professional fastener, and a lot of it had to do because, my passion and my drive being pitta, and I'm very goal oriented. No problems doing 16 hours. I will go 18 hours, 20 hours. Maybe one day I won't eat. I've been doing this for over a year. And then what I started noticing is I was starting to have acid reflux, but I didn't understand because I'm eating so clean. So I'd be very careful on what I consume, because when you're fasting, think of it of a stomach of a baby. The lining is clean. You are cleaning up your system without a doubt. But if you're doing it for a long term, you already have so much fire in there and so many digestive juices that has to come up, and it has to go somewhere. It has to burn, and you're not giving any food. It's going to come up. And that's what I noticed with me. So it was a challenge for me to go to One World Ayurveda, where they're feeding you breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it was hard for me to have breakfast because I'm not hungry during the day. Even though pittas tend to have more appetite, I had changed my body where I didn't have to have breakfast. And it was so beautiful to see how now the acid reflux has completely gone away. So I make sure I eat something during the morning, a piece of fruit, or even like coconut oil, something. So I'm burning off and giving my digestive fluids a chance to burn something off. So it's made me. Then I have another friend who she can do fast for 2, 3 days, 5 days, or just on teas. And she is a kapha dosha, but she doesn't have many side effects. So I think just looking at how your body's responding.
That's why, like I was mentioning about also the acid reflux condition or heartburn condition, where the digestive enzymes is already in a stage they need something. So when you're not giving it a proper amount of food or something to work on, it will start acting against your mucosal lining. So that's why, like, implementing any of the information that we could find in YouTube or like different types of diets, it's been coming on every day. So once we start analyzing and understanding ourselves, then with some support, try to move forward. Otherwise, what happens? We'll do everything in a good way, but still some people say like, I didn't see a result or it completely reversed my system, is because like we go with not the fully intention of like having proper knowledge also. So that's why like we say about like understanding the 3 bioenergies, vata, pitta, kapha, or knowing what your body type is. Then it's easy to connect and know, okay, this is my body type and I need some kind of support with food or with medicines or treatments.
Correct. So intuitive eating, being very present, and really getting in touch with your body is so important. Your body's consistently talking to you, telling what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat. I'm sure you've seen it. We eat with our eyes, and the food starts talking to us, and your body starts reacting. So let's move a little bit more. So coconut water, is it good to have it at any time because it's hydrating, or is it too cooling?
So that's also again a question, like too much of coconut water, because sometimes people come and say like, I eat healthy, like I drink healthy, I try my best to keep me hydrated, but after some time I'm always bloated. So what people do is like they tend to take a big coconut and drink throughout the day or even later at the evening. So it has a cooling nature. It's hydrating, but at the same time, it has a cooling nature. So after the daytime, in some stages, when you drink more of coconut water, definitely in a vata predominant, in my experience, what I have seen, it creates a lot of gastric discomforts like bloating and gas. So again, I'll use the same. Moderate use is the minimum to keep up
Yeah,
our
everything
health.
in moderation, not too much of anything. I've known people that have gone on coconut water diets for 4 or 5 days. It's okay if you want to do like a cleanse, but don't make it a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right. So that's okay. And then I guess if you're going to do a coconut water cleanse, do it when it's a warm environment.
Yeah.
Not
when it's raining
winter.
or like not it when it's
That's
winter.
the whole thing with juicing. Especially in the U.S., we have seasons. Even in California, we have seasons.
Yeah.
And people want to do juicing, any time of the year. Is that appropriate, or what do you think about that?
That's very important to understand. In Ayurveda, we talk about seasonal regimens also. So according to each season, there can be detoxes done or cleansing done. But according to that, like when it's summer, where we have to understand like pitta will be going out of order. So our diet should be maintained in a way where we can channel that into control. So knowing all of this will be helpful. So it's not like throughout the whole year we can have the same food and same method. So that's why like if we look into our surrounding, like the nature itself gives us certain fruits, vegetables according to the seasonal climates.
Correct.
So that's a way of like nature connecting
Eat local,
to
wherever you are. Right. And it's hard to find local, especially nowadays with everything that's going on too. So
as much as possible.
As much as possible, try to find it in your farmer's market. So we did talk with Claude a little bit more about what were the challenges in bringing all the ingredients to make it, an authentic Ayurveda retreat center where you work. Talk to us about the medicine and the spices, because Ayurvedic medicine, there's so many different types of spices. Are there some type of spices that people can find in the grocery store that they can bring to their homes and make their meals more Ayurvedic? What do you consider an Ayurvedic meal?
So an Ayurvedic meal is like we can have any food as an Ayurvedic meal considering the principles that we implement. So basic principles in Ayurveda is like no leftover food. Food should always be warm and freshly cooked. So fresh food is the basic part that we say, because we say like a prana, which is life. Every single object in this universe has a life or a prana. So food is a main medium that we gets energy with air, water. So in Ayurveda, we say consider food as your medicine. So if we can keep food as our medicine,
food is medicine,
and kitchen as our pharmacy, that's the best way to lead a healthier lifestyle. So that's why like spices, any kind like fennel, cumin, black pepper, coriander, cardamom, cinnamon, black pepper, ginger, garlic, nutmeg,
so many,
oregano,
yummy.
thyme, all of this has different properties.
Yeah.
So according to that is what we implement. So for vata, we'll say, okay, there are set of spices and herbs that can be used. For pitta, for kapha, or when there is combination or when there is disease stage, what has to be adopted and what has to be eliminated from the diet. So it's very important to know, but we can't say like one spice is like not used at all. All of that is being used, but according to condition. Like if, for example, if people are having more like hot flushes or like night sweats or like too much of pitta, then we say, okay, reduce black pepper, chili, tamarind, all. Or
so
if
there are some spices that are more pitta driven and
which
some are
has like
vata driven.
vata,
How about
kapha.
turmeric? That's a very popular.
So turmeric
spice.
is like we can give for all condition because of its properties like anti-inflammatory property, rich antioxidant property, its anti-cancerous properties, and also cleansing effect. It's good for arthritis condition. But like I mentioned, in moderate use, like how much we need per day has to be calculated or understood, and depending on that we need to take it. Like capsule form is available, curcuma tablet capsule, but if you use it in your cooking, then that's the best way to consume it.
Do it. It'll absorb naturally. I feel like with turmeric, it's become very popular in the last 2 to 3 years. I feel like every year a new Ayurvedic trend pops up into the global market. So turmeric had its run, ashwagandha, it's coming in now. So with turmeric, a lot of people are like, oh, this is great for anti-inflammatory. So they're taking it 3 times a day, 4 times a day. And this capsule, they're potent.
Yeah.
They're very, I mean, is that good, or do it maybe only if you really have an inflammation, or stay away from it too much?
So if we are consuming it in the food form, like in majority of the Indian dishes, we use turmeric as a part. But when you take capsule or tablet form, the quantity is very important, like not more than like 2 or 3 gram a day, or like, because sometimes when a bottle of capsule or tablet comes, it's written like 6 capsules a day. Without asking anybody, talking to anybody, we go for it like 6. We take that for a month, and then people say like, oh, I started feeling like gastric discomforts. So one basic part that we have to understand, everything has its benefits.
Correct.
But everything taken in abundance condition, because in Ayurveda we say, if something can save your life with as a medicine, imagine that will have a poison part or a toxic part also when you start consuming it in a larger quantity. So that awareness, like we all should bring in, like not consuming like turmeric the whole day.
Yeah.
Because
it's just, remember, there's always a polarity, it's a duality. It's just, you come back to the basic principles, right, of universal life.
Yeah.
Just whatever is vibrating really high, there's going to be that opposite effect as well. So you can't have too much turmeric or too much light. You're going to get burned.
Yeah.
Right? Anything. You have to let things flow. Let it have its natural cycle.
Yeah.
As well. I love that. Any tips that you want to give us with Ayurveda that people may not know about? Anything that you have noticed?
Some of the informations that I've shared, it has some tips, but basically, I would say like listen to ourselves in a better way to connect with the eating habits.
Yeah.
Or like, if you want to ask, like,
go scraping your tongue every day.
Yeah. Okay. Like that, it will be helpful.
Is that like a great tip for everyone that can implement?
Yeah. So everybody can do, like, as a part of keeping ourselves healthy, we say like dinacharya, and one among that, what we explain is to do the tongue scraping. So when you look in your tongue early morning, you might see like a white coated material or a yellow coated material, which we connect or mention as ama, which is a toxic byproduct of poor digestion. So eliminating the ama toxins from our tongue, that will help our taste buds to perceive the taste of the food, which will also implement in a better digestion and metabolism. So that is something. Then like drinking water in copper vessels, which can be done for all, like 1 or 2 glasses, that can be done. Then when you did
copper vessels, waters in copper vessels, because the copper vessel naturally kills the bacteria that's in the water.
It has a naturally, like copper is having a property called oligodynamic in nature, which is like the bacteria can't feed on to copper utensils. So when you did Panchakarma, you might have seen all our utensils are copper and brass metals. And drinking water from that, it can be helpful. And also we teach like how to do a self massage, oil massage. So those are like certain things that could be used.
There's like so many rituals if you really dive into Ayurveda. So as part of being in One World Ayurveda with Dr. Nini, we had to wake up early in the morning and scrape our tongue, and then also rinse off with coconut oil and do massages around our eyes as well, and do yoga. And this had to be done by 8 a.m. and you had to eat your breakfast as well. So there's so much. But I felt like a lot of people said with the tongue scraping, if they were there longer than a week or so, they started noticing that their palate was changing.
Yeah.
Food was starting to taste different.
Better. Because like our taste buds are there. So when that coating is there, you don't perceive or receive the right taste of the food that you're eating. So then when you start cleaning or cleansing, it helps. That's why like we say like connecting more, listening to ourselves. Like many people have mentioned like, oh, I have tasted strawberry many times, but it never tasted like this.
Yeah. And it really, however, those people that, they built a really bad eating habit, right? There's been many years. So, or, maybe a lot of emotional eating, and there are eating a lot of food that we call dead food, a lot of chips and processed food. What's a gentle way for them? Because obviously at this point, their taste buds not only probably taste the difference of the different foods, but it's craving, right? It's craving food that's tamasic, that doesn't have much life, not much prana. So what would be the best way for them to get introduced with Ayurveda without disturbing their world? I would think about like a gentle, that's what I like about Ayurveda. And it's very gentle, and it allows you to create a different habit for you, a different lifestyle that is not extreme and that is respecting your doshas, the elements of our bodies, because we are the elements, just like nature is. We're made out of the same elements. So what would you recommend?
Basically, like majority of the people have a connection, like emotional eating to certain things, or like some people like cookies, some people like chips, all of that. But if we want to get into a better eating habits, like it's not like only vegetables can be added in Ayurvedic meal, like fruits, vegetables, grains. As a snack, we say like you could have like fruit platter or stir fry, or some nuts, dry fruits can be added as a part. So those all are having some kind of healthy aspect, because we have to be one part aware. Anything that we put into our system will definitely have a reflection into our nature. And even in Ayurveda, we say when you put something on your skin, like the best way to understand it should be having an awareness that you can eat it. That's how like our system is connected.
Interesting.
So if we are able to understand in that way, then definitely we will start looking more into a healthy aspect of eating.
So feel our skin, how it reacts when we're just like looking and smelling food?
Not just even like that. Like we say when we buy some products for external uses and all, because skin is the largest sense organ in our system.
Yes.
So anything that we put into the skin, it absorbs.
Correct.
So we say it should have a property like, okay, if you can eat that thing, what you're putting into your skin,
I see what you're saying.
How you should connect.
That's tough, especially ladies. How many products do we have that we put on our skin and our face and our hair that we would not eat? We know just by smelling it that it's not edible. And that is one thing that we did during the retreat, that in One World Ayurveda, they had a whole workshop on just creating our natural face masks, body scrubs, hair creams, and all natural, made out of ingredients that come out straight from the land and prepared in your kitchen. If we can change subjects a little bit and go into Panchakarma. So we talked about Ayurveda, its history, how it's connected with yoga. And let's talk about Panchakarma. Maybe some of you have heard it before. And what's the role in Panchakarma within Ayurveda? If you're interested in doing a Panchakarma, which I highly suggest for everyone to do Panchakarma at least once a year. Go ahead.
So Panchakarma is a unique detox therapy that is explained in Ayurveda. So it's like 5 detoxes that is explained in Ayurveda as a part of preventive method and also as a curative. Like you mentioned, highly recommended to do once a year. So even if we don't have any health issues, just to cleanse our system and to align to ourselves, it's a best way of connecting. And then when you have some health issues, it can be done as a part of resolving our concerns, like it can be arthritic condition, digestive related, sleep related. When you were there, you saw we had many people with different health issues are there for help. So the 5 detoxes that basically explained in Ayurveda, that's what Panchakarma is. And like Vamanam, Virejanam, Nasyam, Vasti, Rektamokshana, these are the 5 detoxes.
Correct. Do you want to go a little bit more? So Pancha means 5, and then
Karma means actions or procedures.
So Panchakarma is an in-depth cleanse, an actual detox. So when you go into a Panchakarma center, the first day is you're prepping your body you're getting yourself ready to have that big detox on your actual Panchakarma day using one of the 5 procedures that Dr. Ninu just explained. And for me, depending on your dosha type, you can have 1 or 2 different type of procedures that you can have. Do you want to explain what they are and if how much maybe find them invasive or maybe it's not for them and why they should be open to it?
The 5 detoxes are like Vamanam, Virejanam, Nasyam, Vasti and Raktamokshana. So it can be completely designed according to the number of days that the person is doing Panchakarma with us, and also depending on your body type and your health condition. So like the first, let's say like a person is there for like 10 days. So we won't be doing any detoxes on the first 1 or 2 days, because a proper Panchakarma is done in 3 phases. The first phase is like preparing you for the detoxes. One is to improve your digestion and metabolism, also mindfully or mentally to adopt your system into this cleansing part. So then the second phase is the actual Panchakarma, where among the 5, we decide which will be the best one for each person. And the last phase is like the regeneratory phase, like finishing all the detoxes, like giving normal diet back into routine, and also doing certain treatments and things which are more like helping to ease the condition, whatever each person is there for, or as a regeneratory phase. So Vamanam is like puking therapy, where we do that for certain health issues or conditions when people have more kapha related imbalances or like obesity, asthma condition, where we give like herbal liquids to drink and we make that person vomit the toxins. And Virejanam is like purgation, where you take medicines orally and you go to the toilet multiple times, which is like basically more done as a part of pitta balancing or like liver cleansing, inflammatory conditions, skin related conditions and all. Virejanam is highly recommended. And the third one is like Nasyam, which is like medicated oil, ghee, herbal powder in installation or dripping of this into our nostril, which is like good for nasal congestion, sinusitis, insomnia, cervical spondylosis, active mind, anxiety, depression condition. And the fourth one is like Vasti, which is like medicated enema therapy, similar to colonic cleansing. So that we basically do for as a part of Vata balancing in degenerative conditions, arthritic conditions, sciatica, lower back pain, constipation, infertility condition. All of this like enema is very effective, or just as a resetting of the whole system, because we say colon is the largest organ which holds the toxins. So helping to release or get rid of the toxins, colonic cleansing or like enema therapies are effective. And then the last one is like Rakta Mokshana, which is like bloodletting therapy. If you have any skin related condition or severe inflammatory condition, varicose vein condition and all, like using leeches or different techniques, we take the vitiated blood out from the system.
You heard right, using leeches. There were 2-3 girls that came in and they had rosacea or they had some eczema. And I saw the difference.
Yeah.
Of how their skin started becoming changing, drier. It looked much healthier.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how many people had that condition until they started walking in. That was pretty incredible. People ask me like, how were you there for 3 weeks just getting pampered? And I originally had signed up to do 2 weeks. And the reason why I stayed 3 weeks is the time was going by really fast because the venue is incredible. But second, I was starting to see the effects and how deep I was going. And like Dr. Nooni explained, the first days that you're there, you're prepping your body to receive all the herbs, all the nutrients to prepare you for the actual day of the detox of the Panchakarma of releasing. So if you're there for two weeks and you're doing 2-3 Panchakarmas, then as you stay a week longer, then you're just going more in depth. As opposed to coming back within 2 weeks and then you're starting all over again.
Yeah.
So that's why you want to do at least 2 weeks to 3 weeks. But a proper Panchakarma should be at least 3 weeks, correct?
3 weeks or 4 weeks is considered as the best Panchakarma.
Correct. I just had a teacher who teaches Panchakarma and she's like, well, I've only done 10 days. And I thought, okay, well, you're still getting the benefit
Yeah.
regardless.
So we have 7 days, 10 days, 14 days, 21, 28. We always say it's never better than doing nothing.
Correct.
If you do 7 days is also worth, but it depends. Like you said, after 2 weeks, you signed up for 2 and then you wanted to do 3, which
3.
was like your intuitive way. Like it was telling
Intuition,
like, okay, I need to be here and get a proper full-fledged detox and reset before I go. So that's how we connect.
Yes, I felt so much better, especially with me because I'm Pitta and I've always had different types of skin conditions. I'm very sensitive. And I have noticed that the mosquitoes are leaving me alone more now. It wasn't happening during the retreat. Yeah. And Dr. Nini will start telling me, you just have to wait. The things don't work overnight. And I think that's a lot of us get, there's a desperation. We want to see immediate results. But think about how long it took you to get where you are right now. To gain weight is not that easy either. Yeah. You worked for that. So now you have to work or just giving yourself and re-educating yourself of a different lifestyle. And education is so important of really getting to know your body, your components. So we do have a free quiz that you can take to see what dosha type you are. If you're more Pitta, more Vata, more Dosha, more Kapha. And then some recipes, what kind of foods that you can eat. Just like a little cheat sheet for you that you can quickly just access by answering a few questions for you. So Dr. Nini, is there anything else you want to share with us that'd be great? No?
I have shared, if you have any questions, you could ask.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Welcome. I appreciate you coming here. There's so much to ask about Ayurveda, but I do want to be very conscious of your time. Thank you for coming in. Welcome. I appreciate it. And we'd love to have another conversation with you to get more in depth.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you, beautiful souls, for listening. Don't forget to take your free Dosha Quiz to discover your personal elemental composition and recommendation. Find out if you're air, fire, or earth, known as Vata, Pitta, or Kapha dosha. It is fascinating how it will bring light to why certain foods or diets didn't go with your body before and what direction to take. Check it out. Also, if you're inclined to leave a review, do take a screenshot to receive a 33% off any of our programs such as self-love, inner child healing, or receive an energy balancing healing. Email and website are below on the description. Namaste, beautiful gods and goddesses creators, and don't forget to subscribe to continue receiving your dose of heart-opening medicine. Light and love.